Greetings to our brothers and sisters on the southeast side of Fort Wayne, Indiana. My name is Shaka Barak. I'm president of the Marcus Garvey Institute. I'm pleased to be invited to speak to you via video on the Honorable Marcus Garvey, unity, collaboration, and economic development. This is especially important when members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, founded by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, are celebrating the 100th anniversary of three major events that took place in the month of August in the year 1920, or 100 years ago. First, we had the first International Convention of the Negro Peoples of the World. That was a demonstration of unity. Umoja brought together 25,000 to attend the opening day that took place at that time in the largest meeting place on earth, the old Madison Square Gardens. Africans and people of African descent came from over 40 countries as delegates, representing the 400 million members of our scattered race at this 31-day convention. The Honorable Marcus Garvey, after arriving in the United States from Jamaica in 1916, he eventually, in 2.5 years, held this convention. He had developed and was leading the first and largest mass movement among African Americans that had a worldwide membership of over 3 million people. They came from Africa, North, South, and Central America, Asia, Europe, and they came from Fort Wayne, Indiana. They came because there was a unified discontent in our suffering. There was discontent with our being dominated, exploited, lynched, discriminated against. They were enchanted with the inequality, the starvation, the lack of education, the lack of fair treatment, and injustice under alien governments. They showed, under the leadership of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, that they could unite. Secondly, these delegates expressed unity in another practical way by using the same time during the convention, not for partying, not for getting drunk, not for gambling, but to form a document called the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. It had 12 well thought out complaints and 54 demands, equal to any international document in the world. The Declaration addressed our civil rights and our human rights, that we were determined to organize and mobilize and to fight for internationally. For 31 days in August, this meeting, or Indaba, to use an African word, this meeting, chaired by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, heard the delegates with their proposals from 48 states and 40 countries. Thirdly, what was one of the most lasting proposals from the convention came on August the 13th, that the red, black, and green flag be the flag of our race and our future African empire. Its meaning of its colors represents unity. The red stands for the blood that flows through our veins. The black stands for the black man, woman, and child, and the dignity of the African personality. And the green stands for the green fields of Mother Africa. Brothers and sisters, today we are not thinking in terms of 400 million black people because we have grown. We are now closer to 1.5 billion Africans and people of African descent. United in friendship, brotherhood, and sisterhood. United economically, politically, socially, institutionally, and expansively, we could be a power that could bring justice, freedom, and equality to all of our people. Africa is still the richest continent on earth. And while billions of tons of its natural resources have been mined over the last 100 years, there is still billions of tons of her natural resources, including iron ore, copper, tin, nickel, diamonds, and gold, and all the essential minerals that are needed for industrial development. There is plenty of timber, hydroelectric energy, and solar energy. The African Union has not only unified with by bringing the African governments together, but they have invited the African diaspora, that's us, to sit at the table to discuss our role in the economic development of Africa. This is what the Honorable Marcus Garvey and other repatriationists have dreamed of and worked for over 300 years. A forward movement to our motherland that would be a mutually beneficial situation for all of us is what was desired and is desired. The African American population in Fort Wayne numbered nearly 289,000. That number is 26 times the number of African Americans that lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1920 in the Greenwood district that was given the nickname Black Wall Street. The 11,000 Africans and people of African descent lived during the Jim Crow era of segregation. They could work in the white side of town, sweeping floors and doing menial work in the back rooms for white people. However, after they were paid, they could not spend the money in the white-owned stores, restaurants, movie theaters, mechanic shops, etc. The effect of segregation forced black people to spend money with black people. This caused the dollars that came into the black community to keep circulating through 11,000 black hands. Almost 100 times the money would circulate in Tulsa, Oklahoma's Black Wall Street. This had the unintended effect of producing very wealthy people in the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma. This success in every area of business caused whites to become jealous. They cooked up an excuse of a rape of a white woman that did not occur to invade the Greenwood district in a military fashion. They bombed it out of existence. On the other side of the country, in Harlem, New York, the deliberate development of black nationalist economic cooperation saw a chain of grocery stores, chain of restaurants. In fact, my point is that Fort Wayne is going to have to get busy practicing black economic nationalism by spending money with each other. They must take advantage of any educational opportunities. There are 130 million books in the world. There are libraries whose bookshelves, if lined up next to each other, would stretch for miles. Books on every subject under the sun can be purchased for a fraction of their original cost in resale stores. It's time for Fort Wayne to develop an educational drive to buttress their economic drive. Uneducated people can become captains of industry. This is true. But no community can afford for the majority of its population to be ignorant and illiterate. Therefore, we must increase attendance in the universities, colleges, and schools in Fort Wayne. We must also develop home libraries of 1,000 books and show our youth that we enjoy reading, then show our youth how to read. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said we must develop a race of scientists par excellence. Those who go to school must become straight-A students. Parents with school-age children must encourage them to become straight-A students. The next thing we must do is look at Fort Wayne in terms of what it needs and what the world needs. Trillions of tons of goods move from the source of raw material by planes and ships to ports, and then on trains and trucks to the marketplace, where consumers drive their cars to pick up those goods and to take them home. There is money being made at every step of the process, and you must be involved in Fort Wayne at each step. First, with science, we can process raw materials that we can get from mining our iron ore or coal. We will have to build farms and produce fertilizer to help it grow products that we want. And we must have manufacturing equipment like tractors for turning the soil, sprinklers for watering the soil, and equipment for harvesting what grows in the soil. We must eventually build and operate planes, trains, trucks, and cars, and then own and operate grocery stores, restaurants, factories, and shops of all kinds, so that all the way up the chain, people are making money. Fort Wayne is making money. Those on the southeast side of Fort Wayne have to grow up and grow up quickly so that we can do these things in order to survive and then pass what we build down to the next generation. African Americans in southeast Fort Wayne, Indiana, will have to collaborate. This means working together from something as small as a chain of hot dog stands and ice cup stands that you have to build through the collaboration of a supplier of wood, a carpenter, a wholesale store with the supplies, and then salespeople and the product. These salespeople can earn, after expenses, $300 a day. And all the way up that chain, people are making money. If they won't let us build our civilization, our economic civilization and foundation in Indiana, because the white man already has his mines, he has already tunneled through his mountains, he has already built his bridges, laid down his highways, built launching pads for spacecraft and travel, and doesn't need any more airports for tens of thousands of planes, and he doesn't want or need any more of anything, then you, brothers and sisters, you have got to build your civilization in Africa. Africa will welcome you to help transform her deserts to farmland, her coastlines into busy and prosperous loading docks for commerce. It welcomes you to build colleges, liberty halls, cathedrals, and museums where you need them. The Honorable Marcus Garvey is telling me to tell you this. If you can understand the almighty force of the white man, you will know that he represents a terrible force in the world. A force that has been made by his superior intelligence. His sciences, his arts, his engineering is a terror to the man who has done nothing yet. If you can contemplate these things and realize that your civilization must go beyond him, you can understand what I'm talking about. Your civilization must project a thought in the world, and if you are to be the people that we want you to be, you will have to surpass what man has done by doing what you can do. What the Negro has contemplated under the program of the UNIA is to project a civilization that will surpass the program of other men, unquote. Black men and women of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We once had a division of the UNIA there. We need to have another one. You must never forget, when you collaborate, to collaborate with the black woman. The UNIA's motto of one God, one aim, one destiny was for all of us. The roles of women in the development of the UNIA were critical as they served as members, including lady presidents of divisions, members of the Universal Black Cross Nurses, members of the Universal African Motor Corps. They led our girls in the juvenile departments. They were leaders of the Negro Factories Corporation, leaders of stock sales of these corporations, including the Black Star Line. They were members of the High Executive Council, signers of the Declaration of Rights. They were our wives and our mothers. Women were made to feel like co-workers, especially when it came to the United States, where black women were more liberated than their counterparts in Jamaica. By this I mean black women in the U.S. attended evening mass meetings, rode in cars in the evening and on trains, and sailed on boats to carry the message of the UNIA. The red, black, and green flag has its meaning and its principles. So fly it this month with this in mind. The red stands for the blood that flows through our veins. Always remember, because this means unity and potentially the building of a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set. Thank you.